What's more frustrating than being sick? Not knowing why. One moment you're fine, the next you find yourself in a panic, disoriented, out of nowhere. You spend 3 nights in the hospital, and every scan, every lab, all of it comes back normal. But nothing you're feeling makes sense. You're told it's a mental health issue. We're led to believe these problems are fixed overnight. If any of that resonates, this story could save you years of suffering. What if the places we live and work every day are where this really begins? That's how my health collapsed in 2019, after years of hidden mold exposure I didn't yet understand. It was my breaking point and the beginning of a long, complicated journey. Let's rewind to the start, and I'll share what I would have done differently to navigate healing while dealing with exposure. What happened to my health didn't start in 2019. That moment was the detonation, not the beginning. Our earliest years wire the immune system. They shape how well we fight off sickness and recover. Looking back, there were early stressors on my health. Sinus infections, repeated antibiotics, head trauma. Later came things I didn't recognize as threats at the time. Lead and mercury exposure, old neglected buildings. None of that felt dramatic on its own. But that's how the bucket fills. This wasn't weakness. It was danger building quietly over time. And by the time I hit my early 30s, my bucket was already full. I had no idea. The environment I lived and worked in was shaping my health in ways I couldn't feel. If I go back a few years before, my body was giving me signs. Anxiety crept up without a clear cause. Foods I'd eaten my whole life suddenly made me feel terrible. Skin issues were getting worse. At the same time, my job had me inside of buildings of every shape, size, and condition, often without knowing their history. Lack of maintenance, water damage, mold, asbestos. I didn't understand the environmental piece. So I did what most people do. I blamed stress, I pushed harder, and I ignored my body. And for a while, I got away with it, until my body couldn't keep up anymore. Looking back, those weren't random symptoms. They were connected. After my collapse in 2019, nothing was stable. My nervous system was stuck in overdrive. Gut issues became relentless. My body couldn't handle stress. Working out felt impossible, one of my last outlets. Then my back went out with multiple herniated discs. That one took me down physically. Testing found Gilbert syndrome, a genetic liver condition. On top of that, I would later find out I was sensitive to mold and limited in my ability to clear toxins. Genetics load the gun. The environment pulls the trigger. In plain terms, my body couldn't keep up with the toxins. Meanwhile, prescriptions and supplements piled up. The slow removal of toxins plus aggressive treatment led to one outcome: more toxicity and chronic illness. Every push forward felt like 2 steps back. And deep down, I knew we were heading in the wrong direction. 2021 should have been a turning point. My wedding, one of the greatest moments of my life. A new chapter, colliding with one of the most challenging. This time, my body told a different story. Muscle disappeared. Weight continued to drop. Eventually, I weighed less than I did in junior high. I stopped blaming my motivation, discipline, and mindset, and I started questioning my environment. By 2022, working on my health was a full-time job. The picture was finally coming into focus. Multiple tests pointed clearly to toxic mold. The thing I'd spent years walking through and around without ever being taught to see it as a health threat. And the common denominator was my indoor environment. Once I saw that, everything finally made sense. Symptoms didn't come and go randomly, they cycled. New environments helped, but only briefly, and no protocol ever held. Because this wasn't just illness, it was exposure that never stopped. With the answers came more questions. Chronic inflammatory response syndrome, Lyme disease, stealth infections, shingles? Naming it didn't make life easier. Honestly, the path to healing felt almost non-existent with every new issue. My quality of life continued to slide. Chronic fatigue left me nearly bedridden. Almost every food triggered a reaction. I learned the hard way, you can't diet or supplement your way out of environmental illness. The signs of mold continued to show when my wife developed skin issues on her hand. I finally discovered dust testing through my doctor, which led us to confirm the air in our home had mold. That was the moment of validation. Every home is its own environment. People react differently, but if the space stays toxic, the body never gets a chance to recover. The latest phase wasn't about pushing my body harder. It was about finding stability, calming a nervous system that had been running hot for years, addressing old injuries, restoring circulation and drainage, understanding the connection between past trauma and how my body reacted. Only then could I handle binders and support detox without crashing. Lab markers began moving in the right direction. My body was rediscovering peace instead of chaos. Nothing about this was fast. Toxins don't leave on a schedule. They leave when the body is balanced and able to let go. Today, my quality of life is stable, though not perfect. I don't take feeling alright for granted anymore. I have a different relationship with bad environments now. Awareness isn't fear, it's protection. And if I could rewind, here's how I'd approach healing differently while dealing with exposure. Put the environment first. Clean up your air, especially where you sleep. This is non-negotiable. Start with a quality HVAC filter, at least MERV 11, and changing the filter regularly, every 1 to 2 months, not once a year. But HVAC filters alone aren't enough. Invest in a high-quality HEPA air purifier, ideally in a bedroom. Sleep is where the body does the most repair. Support the nervous system early. Healing accelerates when your baseline isn't locked in fight or flight. Here's how I think about this now. Controlled breathwork, meditation, and nervous system-focused movement, such as Kriya or Kundalini, can be powerful tools. Adaptogen herbs can also be very supportive, but this is highly individual. Work with someone who understands their intended use. Open drainage pathways before detox. If bile, lymph, gut motility, and sweat aren't moving, it's hard to move forward. How I would approach this? Walking, gentle strength work, sauna, and assistance through devices like vibration plates can all help stimulate lymphatic flow. Movement matters more than people realize. For bile support, bitter herbs like dandelion or artichoke can help, but tolerance varies for people. Be smart with binders. Consistency beats intensity. Lower doses that you tolerate are better than pushing. Think about it this way. If you're not having regular bowel movements, binders aren't your friend yet. Mobilizing toxins can make things worse. For people with highly compromised digestion, caution matters even more. It's best to introduce binders slowly, watching the body's response. Target specific treatment last when your foundation is strong. Mold and stealth pathogens are very problematic, but timing matters in how you tackle them. How I would approach this? Don't rush straight into killing. In my experience, that backfires. If the body can't clear toxins efficiently, attacking mold, Lyme, co-infections, or viral load just adds pressure. I'd approach those layers later in the journey. Once the nervous system is steady, drainage is open, and the body has the capacity to respond. It took me a long time to figure this one out. Recovery isn't a race, and it's never a straight line. Health begins where you breathe. This issue goes far beyond medicine alone. What happens when the buildings fail the people living inside them? The next video dives into military housing and the ongoing crisis of mold exposure and the affected families. Make sure to subscribe if you want to understand how buildings quietly shape our health, long before symptoms ever show up.